Okay, the next question states, write program code to amend the main program. Now we want to amend the main program, which is where we stopped in the last class. Now, amend the main program to do what? Calculate and output the average chance of success for each horse jumping all over 4 fences without knocking it down. What are we asked to calculate now? The average chance. Average. Average means add all the success chances divided by what? 4. Isn't it? So it's even described, it says that the average is the total of values divided by what? The quantity of values. An example output for one horse jumping all over 4 fences is this. The horse fox has an average 70% chance of jumping over all 4 fences. Output the name of the horse that has the highest average chance of success. You can assume that each average will be different. All outputs must have what? Appropriate. Is a must. If you don't have an appropriate message, that means you have not answered the question. And that means you cannot get a reward for answering the question. Understood? Good. Let's take a look at the question again. Calculate. We have to calculate. And what? We have to print. The what? Average chance of success. Do you know we have actually calculated each chance of success? Do you know? Yes, we have done that in the what? In the previous question, where we calculated this success, isn't it? So this is the success for us 1, and this is success for what? Us 2. Is that understood? But we only calculated each chance for the 4 fences. So what we need to do, we don't have to write a new set of code. We can still use that because we have calculated what? The success for each fence, isn't it? So to now calculate the average, I mean we need the total success, isn't it? So for each of the horses, so let me write total 0 is equal to 0. Total 1 is equal to 0. So that after this success has been calculated, then I can add it to what? To total. Is that understood? Is that understood? Because each success is calculated in a loop. So for the first one, add to total. When the second one is calculated, add to total. When the third is calculated, add to total until everything is what? Calculated. Is that understood? So that means total 0 is equal to total 0 plus what? Success. Is this understood? So with that, I have calculated everything, but this is not the average. It is just the total. And after the one for the second one is calculated, that will be what? Total 1 is equal to what? Total 1 plus what? Success. Is that understood?
Yeah.
So this means when index is 0, get the height and width at what? At index 0 of this array. Calculate the success. Then total 0 is what? Total 0 plus success, isn't it? Now you print that value. After printing it, then you will calculate another success, isn't it? Which is now for what? For us 1. Understood? Then you add that new success, the one you just calculated, into what? Total 1. Then you print. Then you go to the next index, which is now what? 1. Understood? Then you get the height and width from position 1 of that array, from the fence array, isn't it? Then you calculate the success for what? For us 1, the first us, isn't it? After doing that, you now add the success you calculated to the previous total, isn't it? Are you all following me? Then you print this success. When you are done, you calculate a new success for us what? For us 2. You add that new success to the previous total 1, isn't it? Which is different from what? Total 0. Then you print until you are done. So all the total has been calculated. Is that understood? Good. We have calculated total, isn't it? So out of the loop is now where you now calculate the average. Is that understood? Then average of us 1 is equal to what? Total 0 divided by what? 4. Understood? And the what? Average of us 2 is equal to what? Total 1 divided by 4. Is that understood? Now the average has now been calculated. Is that understood, everyone? So you don't have to type a new for loop to calculate each success. You have to amend the previous code. And don't forget, this question is just 3 marks. Is it 3 marks? 2 marks. So imagine calculate a new success. You're just wasting your time. Now, we've now calculated the average. What are we going to do next? Average output. The average has been calculated. What's next thing? Your output, isn't it? Now, to output, you have to output in this format for each us, isn't it? So that means I have to go back to my Visual Studio and write that print format the us fox. The us. What is the name of the us? Us is what? Us is 0. Is the name of the first fox, isn't it? Dot what? Get name. Can you guys remember that? Yeah. Good. As an average of what? Of average percent, isn't it? And that will be what? Average of us 1%. Understood? Of chance of jumping. Chance of jumping over all 4 fences. Over all 4 fences. Is this understood, everyone? Are we done with the first us? What is the next one? The second us. So I can just copy this, then paste. Then this becomes what? Us 1. Average what? Average 2. That is all. Is that understood, everyone? Yeah. It's as simple as that. Then when you are done, output the name of the us that has the highest chance of success. Then you have to compare the success of both. The average success of both. Is that understood? Someone said that is too much for 2 marks. Congratulations. Welcome to A-level computer science. Good. Output the name of the us that has the highest chance of what? Success. The name of the us that has what? Highest average chance of success. So that means you have to compare the success of the 2 us's, isn't it? So outside of the for loop as well. So that means after printing, right? If what? Average us 1 is greater than what? Average us 2. Is that understood? You compare both. If 1 is greater than 2, which one are we going to output? The 1. If not, which one do we output? Very simple. Is that understood? Very simple. So it says that output the name, only the name, but in an appropriate what? Message, not just the name. So if 1 is greater than 2, then print format. What are we printing? The us what? That is us is 0 dot get name, isn't it? Us is 0 dot get name. What happens to it? As the highest average chance of success. As the highest average chance of success. Is that understood? Then what's the next thing? Else. That means if it is us 2 that is more than us 1, isn't it? Then what do? We just copy this guy. So less than. Else means if they are equal is also applicable, right? Assume each will be different, so you don't have to worry about that. So us 1 has the highest chance of success. Is this understood, everyone? So, ladies and gentlemen, what we just did is 2 marks. So the question is, how do you copy your code into your evidence documents? 2 marks is 4 minutes. Now the next question, which is also a 2 marks. It states, test your program with the following input for 4 fences. So let's test our program. The good reason why you should always write your main program as a function is because you don't have to worry about any function after any code that comes after the main function. Once you call your main program after what? After the function, you don't have to worry. So it's time to run our code. Do you know we have not been running this code since we have been solving this problem? Do you know? We only run it once when the question asks us to run. Since then, since we have been solving all the complex questions, we have not been running. That is why you must be very careful when you are typing your code. You may not have time to be running and checking, because the time to run, to check, is part of your time you are using to solve. In case you don't have that time, make sure you follow the question, the requirement of the question, the step by step. Don't try and do something else in addition or to prove or to show. A lot of students does that. They want to show that they know it better. Then they try to create some arrays where array is not needed. And they tend to write extra lines of code. If you do that, fine. It may be fine. But if you make a mistake after typing all this code for 1 hour, 8 minutes, and you run your code and you see 55 errors, then your life will never remain the same. So I repeat, if you solve according to the requirement of the question, even if you make a mistake, you only see a few errors that you can easily go back to. But if you see too much error in your exam, then you will be disturbed. Let's run this code now. Yeah, am I scared to run? No, yes. Now, run. Now, beauty jets. Enter the height value. So let's go back to the question. Enter the height. What is the height? 152. 152. Enter. Enter the reach value. What is the reach value? 5. 5. Enter the height value. 121. The reach is what? 1. 130. Reach is what? 3. 145. The reach is what? 4. Enter. Enter. The horse beauty at fence 1 has a 14% chance of success. The horse jet at fence 1 has a 39% chance of success. The horse beauty at fence 2. Fence 2 and fence 1 has the same value. So that means there is something wrong with these outputs. So for fence 2 and fence 1, the same value. So that implies that fence 3 and fence 4 are probably likely to be wrong. Even the average success is likely to be wrong. Why is this so? This message is from the output for the chance of success, right? Where success was what? Was calculated. And if you take a look at the code where success was calculated, this is the output. That means the problem should come from this success class, isn't it? From the success method in the what? In the fence class, right? So we need to go to that. This is the success method in the first class. So why do we have a problem? Now, the mistake I made earlier was I tried to use self.success to save the new value after it has been multiplied, which is a wrong way of using attributes. For attributes, you don't do it this way, because this will not, when you recall it, it takes the previous value. Do you understand? It does not take it as a what? As a new value. It takes the previous value. So what we are supposed to have done is use what? Another variable. Is that understood? Maybe another variable, not the attributes. Multiply your multiplier by the attribute and save it in another variable. Okay? So that is the best thing 2 we are supposed to have done. So let me use another variable. Then what do we return? We return that variable, right? Okay, yes, the first if statement as well should be this. So if we run this code now, then the input is 152.5, 152.5, 1211, 130, and what? 3, 1454. Now, if you take a look at this, the answer is now different, right? Fence 1 is now different from what? Fence 2, isn't it? So this now gives us the correct answer. So you can actually not change a variable, the attributes, while writing your code. What you need to do is to multiply your computation with your value with the attribute and save it in what? In another variable. So with this, when it is called again, it does not take the previous self dot what? Percentage success. Is that understood? So what I did initially was, instead of using success, I used what? Self dot percentage success. So the value of self dot percentage as what? Has been changed. So when you recall it again, it was getting the previous value. Is that understood? The value has been changed from the original value. You are supposed to do it to make it a new variable so that this attribute value is not affected. So anytime you recall this, it still retains the attribute value. Is that understood? Anytime you recall it, you instantiate the class, it retains what? The attribute. So if the attribute value was 5, it is 5 all true. If it is 7, it is 7 all true. But if you do this, if you calculate this, this attribute value has been changed, isn't it? If it was 200, for example, 0.2 times 200 now has a new value, isn't it? When you recall it again, the self dot percentage success is now that new value. It is no longer the original value. It has been changed. Is that understood? So to prevent that, use a what? A separate variable instead, so that this attribute value still retains its original value. Is that understood? The only thing that changes is what? Is this new variable. So when this is called, the new variable has been changed, but the attribute value still retains what? Its original value. Is that understood? So that was the mistake I made while explaining that, and this answer is therefore correct. Is this understood, everyone? Good, thank you.